Disclaimer, this is not an attack on Critical Role or any fans who still enjoy it. I'm just trying to explore and understand why I and so many other fans don't seem to be as connected to it as we used to be. Hey folks, welcome to Castlecaster, and I have been a fan of Critical Role since almost the very beginning. I started watching somewhere in the Chroma Conclave arc in Campaign 1. Since then, I have hardly missed a week. It has been one of my favorite things for years, something I look forward to every Thursday. But over time, I noticed something change. I've noticed it in myself and in the community around the show. Similar sentiments have started arising since somewhere around halfway through Campaign 2. I, and a lot of other fans, were falling out of love with Critical Role. For me, it happened somewhere around 2019-2020. I was watching whatever episode had just come out, and I noticed that I wasn't really paying attention. I wasn't really absorbing the story, I wasn't really paying much attention to the characters, and there was some big lore drop that happened and I didn't even really notice. And I started to notice that I was watching Critical Role more out of habit than anything else. That's something that never happened to me in Campaign 1. Despite the long episodes, I literally watched attentively the entire time. I never missed any important lore drop, character moment, or joke. And I had just zoned out for like a full hour and missed something really important. And this got me thinking, because with most podcasts, shows, and books that I consume, if I stop enjoying it, I put it down. Life is too short to slog through media you're not enjoying out of a sense of obligation. But Critical Role was different. I don't know how to explain how important this show was to me. Every Thursday night was a ritual. I would get home from work, make my dinner, pop some popcorn, and I would settle in for the next 3 to 5 hours. But ultimately, if I wasn't gaining anything from the show, I knew I was gonna have to put it down. I was preparing to let it go when the COVID-19 pandemic hit and they went off the air. And I thought, hey, well, that's as good a time as any to stop, right? But that first Thursday where it didn't air felt empty. I logged onto Twitch out of pure habit, saw they weren't streaming, and remembered, and I missed it. But eventually they returned and I was ecstatic. I faithfully watched the remainder of Campaign 2. And while there was a lot of it that I genuinely really enjoyed, it still felt kind of off to me. But that kind of made sense considering the circumstances. They had to take a lot of safety precautions to keep everyone safe, and they weren't airing it live anymore, so obviously the vibe of the show was going to change. And I was really hoping that that was the reason. And then Campaign 3 started, and again, while I enjoyed it, it just didn't feel right. And at first glance, that's a really strange thing to say, because on so many levels, the show has objectively improved. All the player characters are way better thought out, there's no terrible sound issues, and the new set is amazing. Clearly, they were working really hard on the production end of the show. But I found myself missing the simplicity of Campaign 1. I missed the casual, laid-back atmosphere. I missed the feeling that this was just a bunch of friends who happened to be voice actors playing D&D together. And for a long time, I couldn't exactly place what changed. And then I had a bit of an epiphany. Around the time I started feeling disconnected from the show, there was another big announcement. Critical Role had become its own company. It was no longer just a D&D stream. Everything about it became a product. The world, the characters, the art. And obviously from the start, it was a product. They were making money off of it pretty early. But back in Campaign 1, it wasn't nearly as heavily commercialized. And I do want to be very clear here, because this is not necessarily a bad thing. While they have made a handful of questionable business decisions, I think a lot of the stuff they're doing is really cool. They're working with Wizards of the Coast to produce setting books and adventures. They have a ton of cool merch. They produced an amazing show in Exandria Unlimited Calamity, and Legend of Vox Machina is genuinely a really fun animated series. They had a huge opportunity in front of them, and I do not begrudge them at all taking advantage of it. They absolutely made the right call there. And that's not just me trying to avoid hate from the critters. I genuinely believe that. They created something wonderful together, and they took ownership of it. And in terms of running a business, it's a really smart move. The stream cannot last forever. Diversifying their revenue streams is really good for growth and longevity. Speaking of growth and longevity, you could like, comment, and subscribe and make my channel bigger. That'd be cool. You know, just putting that out there. All that said, I still found myself falling out of love with the main campaign. And I think all this other exciting stuff might be to blame for that. The cast are the heads of the company. Travis is the CEO, Matt the CCO, Marisha the creative director, and sure, they have a bunch of employees around them to make their workloads lighter, but they still have a lot to focus on outside of the show. And all of them are still working voice actors. They're busy people, and they see and work with each other every day. And I think that has fundamentally changed a lot about the show. Campaign 1 basically felt like any D&D game that I've been a part of, if my friends were professional voice actors, which they're not. There was a distinct sense of fun and excitement that permeated those episodes, aside from the first 30 or so, but we don't talk about those. It felt like this was a group of friends that were excited to see each other after being apart from a week and to create a story together. It felt new and exciting and like they were figuring everything out as they went, and that this campaign was something special that they all shared. It felt like a lot of my D&D games. And now they're not just friends. They're coworkers, they're business partners. I have no idea what their personal relationships are like, and I'm not going to speculate on that. I'm just observing that the feeling of excitement that was so electrifying about Campaign 1 and early Campaign 2 is now just absent for me. Now it doesn't even really feel like a D&D game. It feels like a highly produced, well-made show, one that I even enjoy from time to time, but it's so different from what I fell in love with that I can't help but feel a little bit alienated. And I'm not saying they need to cater to me or anyone like me. They can obviously do whatever they want. And maybe other folks still feel it, and that is absolutely fantastic. I'm genuinely happy that you are experiencing what I did because it was genuinely something special. And the thing is, I do still watch Critical Role every week. And in fact, ever since episode 29, I have been more invested than I have in years. I just don't love it anymore. And that kind of makes me sad. But the thing is, nothing lasts forever. The only constant in life is change. So now that I've explored these feelings of alienation towards Critical Role, I think I have a better chance of falling in love with it again. I'm hoping now with this perspective, I can view it for what it is and not what it used to be. It is genuinely a really, really cool with an extremely talented cast, especially the one and only Matthew Mercer. He is and always has been one of the best dungeon masters out there. I have personally learned a lot from watching him, and you can too. Click the video on your screen if you're interested in the video that I made about him. And if you're still here, thank you so much for watching. If you could leave a like, a comment, and a subscription down below, that would be awesome, because I am really close to being monetized, and I'd love to do that in the next couple months. I'm sitting here struggling, figuring out how to end the video, so I'm just gonna, bye.